Welcome to the Forces Sports Show, your weekly roundup of the best action and biggest stories from across the services. Coming up in the next half hour. Taking to the hills, the RAF's top runners kick off the cross-country season. Chasing Amy, the rugby star on splitting her life between England and the Air Force. Pedal Power, the Army's top riders take on the Cyclo-Cross National Championships. We start with the first big Forces athletics event of 2019. The RAF got the cross-country season off and running with the London Broncos trophy. More than 160 athletes took part. The airmen and women were joined by teams from the police, fire and civil services at Halton, watched by John Knighton.
A beautiful, bright but freezing day on the edge of the Chilterns for this annual four-way tussle, and an ideal opportunity for RAF runners to stake an early claim for team inclusion in the season ahead in this annual Sefton Branca match. 40 women runners contested their race over 6 kilometres. Early pace setters, the RAF's Tamsin Rutter, closely followed by Sarah Rose of the police service. Other names to look out for in the RAF lineup: Emily Hutchinson, a relative newcomer to the team, and Helena Schofield. Tamsin Rutter stamped her authority on the race, which rather surprised her. The physiotherapist has been away on a Royal Navy draft on board HMS Queen Elizabeth, and for the past few months her running has been confined to the occasional deck training and the treadmill. Nevertheless, her time of 28 minutes 49 was more than good enough, finishing ahead of Sarah Rose and Megan Roberts of the Civil Service. Emily Hutchinson was the next RAF runner home, 4th overall, and looking forward to the RAF and inter-services races.
Hopefully once I've got a couple more weeks training in my legs I'll be much more confident and I feel a bit stronger, but this course really suits me. I like mud, I like hills, so no, I'm excited for it.
Now the RAF team looking very strong this year, and obviously everyone will have the sights set on the Inter-Services Championships, which are also here too.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is a good year. We've got such a strong team that we're going to give the Army a run for their money, hopefully, this year.
I think it'll be good to have the RAF champs here in a couple of weeks, because it'll give sort of the girls that are going to hopefully go on to the Inter-Services just another kind of a chance to get to grips with the course before we go against the Army and Navy.
The men's match over a 10-kilometre course attracted 125 runners, many of them coming from RAF stations, which pleased the team selectors. Veteran Ben Livesey was an early pace setter with Michael Callenberg, who traditionally has used this early season to prepare for the marathon season, but not in 2019 as he begins his RAF officer training in the spring. Although Mark Hobbs of the Civil Service and Ben Brewster of the police tried to keep pace, it was the two RAF men who dominated the race. Ben Livesey made it look easy, giving his younger opponent short shrift, this despite being very short of competitive running over the past few months. He was the clear winner in a very good time of 36 minutes 17, 9 seconds clear of Mike Callenberg and a further 10 seconds faster than civil servant Mark Hobbs. Will Gardner and Steve Robinson helped the RAF to a men's team victory over the Civil Service.
It was a good run out. It was a good team result as well, actually, with some good packing up the front. But no, it's the first race I've done in a fair few months, really. I did something at Cliveden just a couple of weeks ago, but since then the last race was probably back in September time.
His performance bodes well for the RAF team, who will hope to have Luke Pollard back soon after a bout of illness, and they'll need all their top runners to keep the Royal Navy and Army behind them in the coming weeks. The Sefton Branca Trophy is very much a curtain raiser to the new year, and a great run out for all these runners here today. A great number here involved, and of course we'll be back here for the RAF Championships. The Army and the Navy have their individual championships before the Inter-Services, also here at Halton, in a few weeks' time.
The Six Nations is fast approaching, and hoping to make her mark is the RAF's Amy Cokayne. The newly qualified pilot officer is back in an England shirt after completing her officer training. I went to see Amy and the squad at the National Sports Centre at Bisham Abbey. It's a unique life when you've got two careers, but that's the reality for elite female rugby players like Amy Cokayne. Back in England kit after several months training to be an officer at RAF Cranwell.
Gave me a good focus on something else as well, to just kind of get out of that rugby bubble and kind of come back refreshed. You know, I've not had a break from rugby since I was about 13, so to kind of have that time off to kind of leave that, focus on something new, recharge the batteries, that was really good.
What's it like to be back in the fold of England?
Yeah, no, it's really good. We've got some new faces as well, which is always good. It's kind of like a fresh environment. We've obviously got a new forwards coach, which has been quite interesting to kind of get that relationship between me and him to where it needs to be able to like go forward as well. But no, it's really good to be back. I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh, I'm the new girl at school again, like coming in with my bags and stuff. But no, it's really good. It's all good. It's a good environment. It's been really good, yeah.
England's first Six Nations match is on Friday the 1st of February against Ireland in Ireland.
You've got to look at the Six Nations as a whole, and every team's growing. You know, we saw Italy and Scotland played in the autumns, and Italy put one over on them. Scotland have beaten them in the past, so you've got to go into every game and just bring out your best performance. You can't take any team for granted, and it's all about what team turns up on the day. You know, you get shock surprises every year. So we're obviously our focus at the minute is Ireland. That's what we're looking at, and we'll hopefully put in a good performance for that game. It's good to kind of have that time, you know. We don't have to cram loads of sessions into one day because we've only got weekends to come together, and it means that we can still give back like to our clubs. Like we'll go off to club training tomorrow and then we'll be available to play at the weekend. So we're kind of getting that balance right of getting what we need to get out of these England sessions, but still looking after ourselves in terms of nutrition and S&C and stuff like that. And we're getting good contact time, even if it's having a chat with the coaches. If you want to talk through something, you don't have to actually be out on the pitch physically doing it, but you can kind of have those micro conversations with the girls or people in your similar position, or you know, if it's scrum stuff, where the front row can all get together and get excited about scrums, and you don't have to like be on the phone or just randomly catch them. So it's having the time together is really, really good.
The RAF and the RFU working together to make sure everyone's happy.
It was really important we got the early communication to find out who wants what of me. So I've kind of like meet at a market, like we want this, we want that, and then just finding what works best for both of them. But I think it's working well so far. Should definitely be available for both IS games. That should be pretty consistent moving forward as well. So that's really good. It's really positive for me to know that I can give back to the RAF. You know, they've kind of helped me through this journey because of my rugby stuff. So I can at least, you know, play rugby for the RAF.
For now, Amy's main focus is those internationals, but once that's over, she'll be back in the light blue of the Air Force for the inter-services, and then she goes into phase 2 training. Were you excited about being part of the law enforcement now, being a copper? What's that like?
Yeah, probably the most unpopular branch from the Air Force. Like, no, it should be really good. I'm really excited because you know, it's 6 months long training. I've done a bit obviously through the reserves, but to kind of get a taste of what they actually do within the force as well. And I'm quite intrigued in like counter-terrorism and stuff like that, to see like what route you can actually go down, not just standard Bobby walking down the street.
Amy is part of a 35-strong squad, with 28 of the Red Roses awarded full-time contracts by England Rugby. At the moment, she's on an elite player squad agreement, but once she's finished her phase 2, she can apply for elite athlete status with the RAF, and if she continues to excel at this level, could also end up earning a full-time contract for herself. The Army's top cyclo-cross riders have been taking on the country's best at the National Championships. The sport is a cross between mountain biking and road cycling. Carl Dixon went to see the action unfold in Gravesend.
Every Tom, Dick and Wally was at the biggest day on the British Cyclo-Cross calendar, the National Championships of one of the wildest sports around. That's despite the Gravesend weather not exactly being helpful. Two of the competitors were Army cyclists. They'd set themselves the challenge of keeping up with the quickest at the event.
It's a cross between mountain biking and road riding. There's some tarmac sections on the course, there's some technical sections, there's hurdles, there's a sand pit, there's a flyover. It basically involves every skill that you can have from any walk of cycling all comes together in one single race for 40 minutes flat out. Top 10 is my goal. Anything the higher up the top 10, the better. Allowing for the fact that there's 3 ex-national champions in my race as well. So yeah, we'll get it together and we'll see how we get off the start.
And he did start well on a topsy-turvy course just off the motorway. A blistering start had Haley in the lead in the 50 to 59 age category. But it became too much of a mountain to climb. He lost 8 places in the final few laps and finished 9th, but that was still within his target of a top 10 finish. Warrant Officer Jason Marriott was in the 40 to 49 age group. He had slightly lower expectations.
My aim today is to get top of 30. I'm gridded at 68, so I'm on the 8th row. So it's going to be, I've really got to go full gas for the first lap to try and get as far up as I can. So I can get perhaps a lap for a slight bit of recovery as much as I can, and then just to go and hang on and hopefully chase for that top of 30 spot.
His race didn't quite go to plan. Marriott struggled to get through the pack. He crossed the line in 51st place despite a near photo finish. So a day full of hard work, but it only left them full of anticipation for the new season.
British Forces bobsleigh racers are a step closer to being awarded retrospective Olympic and World Cup medals. The sport's governing body has confirmed doping bans on Russian athletes. Royal Marine John Jackson was part of the British team that finished 4th at Sochi in 2014. This ruling means Russia are set to be stripped of their gold medal, which would see Jackson upgraded to bronze. All Russian results since those games 5 years ago have also been annulled. That also means the Army's Lamin Dean should be awarded the gold medal for the World Cup race at Whistler in November 2017. The Russian team can still challenge the ruling in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. An ongoing injury to British visually impaired skier Millie Knight means she and her Royal Navy guide Brett Wild will not be competing at the World Championships in Slovenia. They were looking to defend the downhill title they won in 2017. The pair won 3 medals at the Winter Paralympics in South Korea last year. Forces netball stars Dee Bolokoro and Ellie Nawale helped Celtic Dragons record their first victory of this season's Super League. The Dragons beat London Pulse at the Copper Box Arena. Despite missing the experienced pair, the Army team prepared for the defence of their inter-services title with a win over Tongham Tornadoes in Aldershot. The RAF motorsport and recruiting teams have joined forces to transform a road vehicle into a competition racing car for the upcoming season. It was all done in just a few days as part of an exhibition at the Autosport show in Birmingham. John Knighton reports from the NEC.
48 hours ago, this BMW was a road car. By the end of the weekend, it'll be a fully spec tracked racing car, all set to compete in the upcoming Armed Forces Challenge for 2019.
It's quite a lot of engineering work that needs to be done. We had to do some pre-engineering before the show because we weren't allowed to do welding and grinding. But then we've got 4 days. We did a full day yesterday with all hands to the deck to do the interior and put the safety cell in and the fire suppression safety equipment, whilst also doing the suspension and the brakes. We've got a team here that have come in to wrap it, to make it look like a racing car and to represent the Air Force brand as we go racing with it. And then over the weekends, on the public days when it's busy, we're doing the smaller, tricky jobs, which take up more time to really finish it off.
The hope is that thousands of members of the public will see it here at Europe's biggest auto sport show and will be inspired to think about joining the RAF.
Obviously, this event is an absolutely brilliant platform for us to promote primarily RAF engineering, but RAF roles across the entire service. So obviously our stand here has some great attractions, like our cart in the corner there. We've got our race cars here, we've got a driving simulator as well, so it's really drawing people to the stand, and we can use that to tell people about the kind of careers that are involved in the RAF, particularly from an engineering standpoint.
Also here, RAF reservist and professional rally co-driver Phil Hall. He's here for the launch of the World Rally Championship over the weekend. He says combining recruiting and motorsport in the RAF makes absolute sense.
You have to be able to think on your feet and be able to do things wherever it happens. You don't always have a clean and dry workshop to work in. Sometimes you have to get under your own car. Even as drivers and navigators, you have to use your own ingenuity and your own thinking outside of the box to achieve a goal. And that the military really breeds that kind of mentality in you.
There's a clear correlation between the benefits of motorsport and the opportunities that the RAF can give in their recruiting. Here at the NEC, the RAF are using this to try and maximise in both areas.
The London Broncos Rugby League team have stepped up their pre-season fitness training with a visit to Swinton Barracks on Salisbury Plain. Over 2 days they were pushed to their limits by the Army. Lisa Harsel went to see them being put through their paces.
Not a usual day for the London Broncos. Soldiers from 2-2 Engineer Regiment are challenging the Rugby League team on a 2-day military exercise, designed to test them mentally and physically. The players have no idea of what's to come. They'll be introduced to military physical training methods, basic field craft and survivability.
And what do you know?
Absolutely nothing. I think all the lads are a bit nervous because it's just like the unknown really. They're hardcore, aren't they, the Army lot, so it'd be good to test ourselves and see what they're doing. It'd be enlightening really to see live a 2 days in their lives type thing, so it'd be good.
First up, drill practice, which, as the team found out, isn't as easy as the Army makes it look.
Right up front, quick, march, left,
right. Judging by their faces, 90% of them are enjoying it. I said, but you get the odd one or two that are thinking, oh, what am I doing here? But by the end of it, they'll be good.
How do you reckon they did with the, I saw them doing the drill training earlier?
Well, being a senior drill instructor, I don't think they grasped it too well, but they put the heart and soul into it, so, you know, it's a bit of fun for them at the end of the day.
It's pre-season for the Broncos, so peak fitness is a necessity. Next up, time for the Army's basic fitness test.
How are you finding this, Matty?
Yeah, it's all right so far.
I'm going to keep you talking all the way through this.
Yeah, not too bad so far. They'll probably get me in a minute.
Can you feel the bone coming in yet?
Yeah, slightly.
Are you enjoying me talking to you?
No, it's all right.
It was a little bit tough considering we had press-ups this morning as well, so yeah, it was a bit longer than we're used to, and obviously a lot of our stuff is explosive, so doing a long, sort of 2 minutes is long for us in terms of doing that sort of thing, but yeah, it was all good.
So it's been an eventful day so far. You did drill to start with. How did you find that?
Yeah, it was a lot tougher than it looks. Just listening to the commands as well. When they're shouting, it's kind of hard to get used to what they're saying. But yeah, it was a good experience.
The players are currently training almost every day. But how are they faring under the Army's standards?
I think they're doing really well. I think there's a lot of smiles for now. I think this morning when they got here, there was a lot of apprehension, a lot of nerves. Quite a few lads had done military style camps before. We turned them up, asked a few questions, and they seem, you know, it's more of the unknown, I think, from the lads than you know. We've kept everything secret from them, so you know, all the plans and everything's been sent out, but the players themselves have not been told anything that's happening over the next 2 days. So it's literally all on the fly for them.
So they've taken on the Army's physical challenges, but of course they need to look the part. The players were each given uniform and a lesson in fieldcraft and survival tactics.
And so you're all, you know, you look like a soldier now. You've got your uniform on, your face is all done. How's it feeling?
Yeah, it makes things a little bit more real, I guess. Everything's massive and doesn't fit, but yeah, it's good. It's nice to sort of get into it properly.
And is there any skills that you think you've come across so far that will be able to help you guys when you're all playing rugby?
Yeah, a little bit of war paint will help in rugby. No, I don't think so. Not yet. I think obviously the fitness side of things that we did before is obviously applicable, but I'm sure there'll be many more things to come that will.
Takes them out of the comfort zone, makes it uncomfortable. Tests the character, gives them some fun activities to do as well, and lets you appreciate, you know, what these Army boys do day in day out as well to protect the country. I've done a few of these as a player myself, and you know, the fantastic memories with your mates out in the field, sleeping outside, and they are quality sessions. That's why we really wanted to come down here and appreciate the Army putting it on for us. So yeah, there's going to be some dirty, tired human beings by the end of it, hopefully.
As the sun set on day one, we left the Broncos to spend a night on Salisbury Plain. How much the military has influenced them will be played out for all to see in just a few weeks.
That's it for this week. Don't forget you can see all the action as we get it on forces.net and this show and more on YouTube. Next weekend, all three services will compete in the first round of Rugby League's Challenge Cup. We'll leave you with some highlights from last year.